Wait, where'd they go?
I don't know. I was going to ask you the same thing. I started doing the dance, and then
We're right here, guys. We're always here.
Watching.
Oh, God.
Listening.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
even...
He did the thing again.
Maybe even groping?
Well, a building is hit by some nuclear rays, and so we can go invisible whenever we want.
You guys just...
Too many molecules are in flux.
Jimmy's just...
yeah.
Christians are a little more stable. Jimmy's just going in and out, I guess.
I just figured out how to control it better.
Yeah, well. All right, can we just get this shit started?
Sure. I can bring you back in.
Well, you already have better luck than our protagonist.
Sorry, I like being invisible.
All right, well, Jimmy's just going to do his own thing, apparently. He's in flux.
He'll be fine.
Come on.
His molecules are stable enough.
Guys.
We got a little Hollow Man going on.
I can't visible.
So, weirdly enough, this all ties into the movie for the week.
Just so happens.
It's almost like
it's almost like it's a coincidence or a contrivance or something. But anyway, the movie for the week is Memoirs of an Invisible Man. And my esteemed panelists, Tristan and Jimmy, who have now just become visible, are with us, along with Jeff and myself, Corey. So this was a weird kind of happenstance that this movie came together, because originally it was a Chevy Chase vehicle that he was trying to bridge between his more comedic stuff, his more dramatic stuff. And it happened to kind of straddle the line a bit. There was some disagreements over who the director was going to be, because I guess Ivan Reitman was helping him develop it. And then after a long production hell, he decided to go in a different direction, and he wanted to get somebody who had some experience with like special effects and stuff like that, and it had a little more of a grasp on drama or kind of Hitchcockian suspense. So he got John Carpenter, who's not somebody who you would normally associate with a movie like this.
But when I saw that, I thought, okay, Invisible Man, horror. It's not your traditional John Carpenter, but I don't know if that's what they thought.
See,
when they picked him.
I didn't realize that until after watching it, but I was getting some real Ivan Reitman vibes when he's literally looking through a filing cabinet. And I was expecting Sam Neill to be like that scene from the library in Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a couple times where Chevy can do some of his screwball shtick. Obviously, when he's pantomiming with the drunk guy to get a cab, which is a very
It was a little messy, but I actually didn't mind it. I thought the comedy blended well with the drama. I don't think he was outlandish as he has been, especially say in the vacation movies.
Right. And it actually shows that he can be an effective romantic lead.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much a reverse Leslie Nielsen, if you will.
Yeah. But you can tell just from the production from the beginning, I was like, he looks a little gaunt. And apparently, according to the production notes, he lost like 20 pounds because he knew that this is going to require a lot of like physical exertion and special effects work.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I thought I always imagine him this thin. And this was technically the first thing I ever saw him in. I saw this around the time it came out, maybe on the movie channel or something. But yeah, I always imagine him this thin. So
yeah, well, because it also probably, he knew he was going to be naked at some point.
That's true.
That's the nature of invisibility movies. Is it usually only works when you're totally naked. But that's why I thought
he had clothes on.
Right. Well, that was
like the thing is, like he gets exposed to like the clothes that he's wearing gets exposed to these like weird microwaves or cosmological waves or whatever.
Science waves.
And then science waves. And like the clothes that he's wearing, which is his business suit, like they become invisible. So like whenever he's out on the streets wandering around and like being a non-person, like he's clothed.
Yeah.
Like
it is consistent too, because you see him take his clothes off, wear different clothes.
Yeah.
But like the different clothes that he wears, like they show a cut or of like, you know, parts of him being invisible, and like you could see the clothes just standing there. But when he's back in his business suit, like he's completely invisible.
Like an angry, like a Wall Street cloak.
Yeah. So they bring up like once or twice.
Yeah, he loses his tie, I think, pretty much immediately.
Like a Wall Street cloak of invisibility.
Yeah.
Well,
Which I was curious about at the beginning. They start off the movie where he's filming himself a confession as like a bookend sort of thing. And I was wondering right away how they're going to handle things like food. You see him later smoking, so you can see the smoke in his lungs. And so I was wondering about the clothes. Like, you always wonder, do you have to be naked the whole time? In the Claude Rains Invisible Man, he's wearing the robe, but he's clearly going to be naked the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's funny to think he's just running around Claude Rains.
Well, there's a nod to the Claude Rains one when she goes to his beach house, and he's basically dressed up like the Claude Rains incarnation of
the bandages.
Yeah. I mean, the special effects in this movie were just top notch. I don't know if we've gotten to that point yet, but
they're pretty good for 92, but like they're still working on like traditional special effects with a little CGI, because CGI is still in its infancy at this point. So like you look at today's, like, or if they made this movie today, it would be like a little too clean, I think.
What I was saying, as soon as the rays go off and hit Chevy Chase, you can see the building. It doesn't completely evaporate. I think that's what would have happened if this was made today.
Yeah.
right.
Like, it would have folded in on itself to look cool, and then it would have just been still there, but like a mime box.
Yeah, no, it would have definitely been like you hit that, like probably where I was trying to get to. Like they would try to make it look too cool with today's special effects, whereas like here they're like, okay, we got to be convincing for this movie because we have
like,
a budget for this, but like the technology is not all that great. So this is what
it's like, I think here half of him's invisible, but then it would have been like I can't make him all invisible.
But you can't
like streaks of
you can't control him.
The roof is there, half of the wall. He
the
sees
walls,
like a door, but he doesn't understand.
It's like the science rays just painted part of the building in like this splatter of invisibility,
like a polish painting.
Right, exactly. So you can see through and eventually it totally phases out. But I actually love that part because it's a practical effect of something that would normally be CGI. Like you have floating bits of, it's like a Dali painting when you look at the office building, because it's just like, it clearly looks like it should fall apart, but it's just sitting there like a Death Star
that's invisible.
Right. Like it's not broken, it's just invisible. Just like Chevy Chase.
Yeah. No, but it's funny. It really
and
does.
His career. No,
it does get into the minutia of what it would be like to be invisible and the hassle that would be, especially when he talks about how it's hard for him to sleep because his eyelids, he can see right through them.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. I know he said it, but I didn't really contemplate it.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about the science behind being invisible, like if the whole reason for like the eyeballs to work is like we're supposed to have like holes for the light to go through to get to the back of the eyeball to send electrical signals to the brain to say, hey, look, an image.
Yeah.
But like if his eyeballs are completely invisible, he does not have those holes right now because he's the light beams in. So how the hell is he able to see?
Yeah,
well, he should be blind.
Or if we didn't have those holes, we'd all be like the They Live characters.
Yeah. So
to tie it back into John Carpenter. Apparently, John Carpenter said that Chevy Chase and Daryl Hannah were nightmares on set.
Really?
Which is weird because
I believe
they have such good chemistry, the two of them.
Yeah, I like Daryl Hannah a lot in this.
Maybe it was because those scenes when Chevy had to be ignored on set and he was just taking it to heart.
Oh no.
Here's another thing we haven't really touched on just yet. The synopsis
of how he gets invisible.
Like, well, no, I mean he gets invisible, but like everything that happens afterward, and then he has to go on the run, and
Yeah, I mean, this
So-
actually can bring me to the first question I was going to ask you guys. What would you do if you found yourself invisible when you woke up?
In the same
Like-
position as him.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what would you do if you were invisible? But what would you do if you were in Nick Calloway?
Yeah.
Nick Calloway's position.
I would
I'm
totally
in
join
San
the
Francisco,
CIA.
right?
Yeah,
San
it's
Francisco. So I definitely take a trolley ride.
Yeah.
yeah, just for free.
Yeah, why not?
I would try to run away. I'd try to just see what I could do, like learn the science of it. I do appreciate that he freaks out and he's like, "Am I gonna evaporate?" And just not
Yeah, that
exist
is-
You know,
anymore.
that's something
Yeah.
they never bring back, actually, that I was kind of frustrated with. I know they kind of touch on it at the end to wrap things up as a Deus Ex Machina of how he's gone now. To
Mhm.
cover up, spoiler alert, to cover up his disappearance. But I wish they had gone a little more into that to build some suspense. Like there's flickers of him doing that throughout the movie. And he's like, oh no, this is happening now.
It's just
Yeah,
like the top at the end of Inception, where you don't know
Yeah.
for sure.
Right.
Sure, yeah, sure.
Maybe it's too dramatic.
No, it's got to be it's got to have a happy ending. It's the 90s. We're not.
It was
dark.
it was a pseudo happy ending.
Yeah.
But you know, the important thing here was like how Sam Neill's character is introduced, because obviously this happens at some sort of government contractor facility, and then he allegedly works for the CIA and was brought in, and like they know that
he was
Chevy
involved in a
Chase's
couple
character-
deaths, people falling off of a building in multiple countries.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a rough customer.
Although I always interpreted the end of this movie as it could still be one of those dream sequences he was having. That might not have actually happened. The ski.
You only have like one dream sequence though.
Yeah, but I always figured this could be interpreted as that, but I'm sure they were going for an actual happy ending.
That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, in any other movie, this like boilerplate CIA plot line would be just kind of tacked on. I feel like they actually built suspense in this, like I was saying, this has like a Vertigo, North by Northwest Hitchcockian feel to it of the man on the lam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good guy in a wrong situation.
There's two things I like about Sam Neill's subplot. That he gets more and more unhinged, which the stress of something so weird would do this to someone because it's the man you can never catch, technically.
I think also,
And the other thing is I like that there is time between each of their interactions. It's not like this takes place in a week. It takes place over several months.
maybe
Yeah.
even here.
So it's different than
Yeah.
you would expect.
But like the interesting thing about like Sam Neill's performance was like him being unhinged when he does, I guess, become more reckless.
Mhm.
It does for me. It doesn't come off as him being unhinged as much. More
It's
so.
subtler.
More so like you start to notice that like he's an actual psychopath.
Right.
Yeah,
It was
'cause-
always unhinged.
Because like the way he lies and goes back and forth between like one lie to the next and doesn't even think that somebody's gonna realize, hey, you're kind of lying, buddy. What are you doing? And he doesn't, like, his logic goes right out the window. He's trying to like pull every card that he can to like get this guy to work with him in the CIA.
And it
He's
works
like,
with-
I'm gonna help you,
Mhm.
and you're
Yeah, at
gonna
one
be a
point after they
spy.
kidnap
And then it's
Daryl
like,
Hannah, he's like, look,
And
I
he's-
can't help you, then I gotta kill you. But I'm here for you, buddy. I care about you. But you know, I'm gonna kill you if I can't get you.
Yeah, you know it's not real.
Yeah. Which then begs the question, like, what does he really want him for? Because if you get this guy and use him as a spy, what's to say that he won't just disappear and not come
become a
back
double
from
agent.
or become a double agent, or literally
They could put a
just
track
walk
on the
off
license
the
number,
premises
right?
and not give a shit? Like,
Yeah, you could legit send him to another country and he
just becomes
this
this.
mission's over for him at
Yeah,
that point.
he's a
Like,
volatile asset.
Yeah. And so Sam Neill just becomes like, that's why he becomes more unhinged, because it's just more obsessed with just
Yeah.
catching this
which
guy.
feeds into the psychopathic behavior because
With-
he's
yeah.
getting more and more obsessed.
Chaotic.
Yeah.
Which with less structure to like how he would actually utilize this asset. He's just driven to get him.
Yeah. 'cause
Yeah.
So
he's power hungry. He's like,
Right.
he sees something that he wants and
Yeah.
knows that will give him more power.
But
There's
it's-
several points that Stephen Tobolowsky shows up and he's like, look, this is over. There's nothing more you can do. He's like, no, I'm going to keep going on this. I got a one-track mind, tunnel vision here. I'm going to find this guy.
It is surprising he doesn't want like Tobolowsky's position or anything. There's no end game for him other than do his job correctly.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
he might enjoy being this is his calling. He likes going around killing people and spying. Like this is his jam. I don't think
he's not
wants to
even
move up
necessarily
on
patriotic,
detail.
because towards the end he says we could sell this asset off to the Russians, the Chinese. Can you imagine how much they'll buy from?
And his second in command is like, I don't know about this anymore.
Hey, buddy, you okay, pal?
Yeah,
because they do go into more detail about him being on the lam and running from this guy, and how he adapts to doing that. Like he just does a lot of stuff over the phone and orders clear liquids and stuff just in case he crashes at his best friend's beach house. That like
Michael McKean.
Yeah, Michael McKean.
Oh, right. Love Michael McKean. So it was cool that he popped up here. Did not
And Patricia Heaton from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh yeah, I didn't recognize her, but I recognized her voice.
That's who it was. I was thinking the whole time, like, it's the hat. I can't think what. Oh,
yeah.
It's Ray's wife.
Yeah, could not. Deborah.
Hey,
You're messing around with the guy from Spinal Tap.
Oh no. She was pretty good though in a small role, and Michael McKean's always great.
Oh yeah.
The one thing he pointed out towards the end of the film was it was nice of Michael McKean to just go along with it, because he obviously doesn't know Chevy's invisible.
He has no clue what's going on.
No, he never knew.
Yeah,
he actually never knew. Like he goes along with like Nick calls him up out of the blue and is like, off screen. We don't find out until after like it's revealed.
Well, it's supposed to be a twist.
He calls him off screen. He's like, I need you to help me out. Just dress up in a costume to wrap yourself up, make you look like me, and just hang out in front of a phone. And he goes along with it, and then like,
okay, haven't seen you in a year. You bought a lot of liquor at my summer house.
Yeah. And then Sam Neill comes out with like his CIA goons and like decks him, and he's like, whoa. Like
the crazy Nick.
About it. Like the whole time, he was like, I'm just helping out a friend.
Now that's a best friend.
Yeah, that's best friend right there.
That's
like just gets involved with the CIA and just doesn't care.
Look, man, no questions asked. I will dress up.
One favor for what happened in Tahoe.
Right. I gotta call in some favors. But I did like one other little tidbit. Like right after the accident, as these agents are looking into him, they ask for what his name is, and he says Harvey.
That's right.
That was a cheeky little thing.
Like the rabbit.
Looked at Jimmy and I'm like, just gonna love that.
Oh, it was great. But then it also
they don't wink at the audience, and you're just like, okay, I get
because
it.
After the invisible rabbit from the play Harvey and the movie that with Jimmy Stewart, and then I got started, like my brain started on all these other subplots, like what if that's how Harvey came into being? Like it was just a science accident. And then now hear me out. I think on some level the people close to Daryl Hannah in her life see her going on the same type of thing, because they don't know that he's around. They just see her like talking to the air and mysteriously disappearing under okay, have fun circumstances. And
she's pregnant in Switzerland.
Right. I want to see that sequel.
Yeah.
The Memoir of the Son of the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And he comes down and he's just like, just a torso.
Well, now
you don't see his skin, but you see this musculature and bone.
They did film a scene where she gives birth for the finale.
Yeah, because like the whole
really
chose not to include that for some reason.
Did you notice that it had a bit of a Flay the Bumblebee theme to it? And also some of the parts of Shirley Walker's score kind of harken back to like 50s B movies.
Good point.
Like some of the big orchestral beats.
Yeah. It felt like it could have been included in the Universal Monster Collection.
Yeah, like I kept thinking like this could be perfect in like a movie like Them.
Yeah.
Beast of 1,000 Fathoms. Stuff like that.
It's good you brought up Shirley Walker. I was excited to tell Jimmy about this because he never reads the guide on what these people have done outside of the movie.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know how to read.
Shirley Walker, she's the only one of a very accoladed crew that did not get an Oscar, but she was nominated for several Emmys for writing the theme songs to both Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, and Batman Beyond. So she was the one that created all that. So she's the themes that we loved in the 90s for all these cartoons.
So she's a god.
Love Shirley Walker, apparently. And she was actually, this movie was the first film that was solely composed by a woman in film.
Wow.
Yeah. Because usually if women worked on it, they were co-writing. That happened a lot anyway. There were two composers a lot of the time, but never by just a woman. So that's
progressive then.
Yeah, that's an interesting note. But since you brought up Shirley Walker, I'd wanted to talk about these other crew members that got Oscars beforehand. They had the production designer from Blade Runner. They had cinematographer from 1941, Heaven Can Wait, War Games. He also, the next film that William A. Fraker had done was Tombstone. So
interesting.
I had planned on asking, like, how does this look so good for what is essentially a B movie? It makes sense when you have a guy that's been nominated for 3 or 4 Oscars. Also, the costume designer, Joe L. Tompkins, had gotten a couple of nominations too for Cross Creek and Harlem Nights. But the big thing that I noticed was he worked on a bunch of sci-fi films or action films like Blown Away, Species, Howard the Duck, and Weekend at Bernie's, which I think you can clearly see, like, he knows how to manipulate clothing, that sort of thing. I know that's
and people who pretend to be dead bodies.
Right. So I just thought that was funny. But I was going through all these people and I'm like, they have such an incredible crew. How did this not work? Because I think it works.
It works.
Maybe that's hindsight.
At the time, I think it was Chevy Chase was on a lull. So people were gunning for him. They didn't want to accept him in anything that would be considered heroic, I guess, because it's the Cary Grant role. And I actually think he's pretty good at playing it straight for the most part.
He does good job.
Yeah. I've loved this movie since I was a kid. It used to be on HBO in a constant rotation.
Yeah, this movie is surprisingly familiar, and I don't remember seeing it. And I'm pretty sure
maybe you saw scenes.
Knowing John Carpenter's career as a whole, I'm like, of course the romantic aspects work. He did Starman, and that's kind of it's similar in tone.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Starman. Never got around to that. It was one of my parents' favorite films.
It's really good. So yeah, I definitely think I'm glad we picked this for the underrated gem for the month.
Yeah.
I had sort of remembered it fondly, but I was excited to talk about Sam Neill. So it turned out to be a really good.
Yeah,
and again, any excuse to talk about Sam Neill.
Anybody else in that role would have been real cliche and probably would have came off kind of stale. Sam Neill brings so much menace to that role.
Yeah, it's unnerving to see Dr. Alan Grant be kind of a meanie.
Do you know him being a villain anywhere else? I know obviously he
was the Omen 3.
Yeah. Was there anything else like choose the scenery? Is it like a snub?
Oh, Daybreakers.
Oh, right.
It's funny that you say that because like the first image that came to my head was Sam Neill in The Jungle Book when he had that marvelous mustache.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
That's true. He is kind of he's the father in that, isn't
he?
Yeah,
he's the father.
So he's not a villain.
Yeah, it was not a villain, but like when you said that, I just thought of the mustache that he had in that movie.
The best mustache he's had.
Like if he were to ever be like a comical villain, like he could pull it off.
Yeah.
I would give this a B+.
Well, I just had one question before we get into that.
Sure.
I know that this was originally based on a novel, Memoirs of the Invisible Man. Is there any insight as to like how much they differed, or if it was like if they meant it to be a comedy, or if the novel was more slapsticky, or I don't know. I'd be interested to. If you've read the book, comment below.
Honestly, I'm looking at a synopsis and it looks pretty close.
Okay. Yeah. Because I could see it being the progression of the events that happen in the movie are the same as the novel. And then Chevy Chase or Ivan Reitman was going to inject the humor into it to make it, to have some levity, kind of like a Romancing the Stone, where it's an action adventure comedy.
Yeah.
I think that's what they wanted. Starman's a romance, but there were still dramatic elements to it.
Okay.
I think that's all it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just always fascinated when there's adaptations, especially with such high levels of special effects and things here.
Though with saying how Ivan Reitman was originally part of the production, how long this was is kind of incredible. They were trying to develop it when the novel came out in the early 80s. So this was a 10-year-long production.
Oh, wow.
Floating around like Chevy, finally landing with Carpenter.
In a ski mask in Switzerland.
Yeah. I think that's why it's looked down upon, because it was kind of buried after the end of its production. And we weren't sure what to do with it because of, like you said, Corey, Chase's career trajectory.
And Carpenter just hates talking about it because Chevy Chase was a nightmare.
Really feels like of all his films, it's the one that was the most paycheck for him.
Yeah.
John Carpenter?
Yeah. I know later.
Once we get more into the 90s, there's a lot more movies where I'm just like, he's just a gun for hire for this one.
Yeah. Given the quality of the special effects, I think maybe John Carpenter probably put in a little more effort.
I think he appreciates the craft. He wasn't just going to phone it in, but I don't think.
I know he's a big Howard Hawks fan.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of like science fiction movies and creature features and stuff like that. So this probably fed into his wheelhouse, but at the same time, like, he probably wasn't as sure with the comedic aspects as Ivan Reitman probably would have leaned more into.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What was everyone's favorite, like, specific special effect?
When she first puts the makeup on.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's just like he's got this mirror mask thing going on.
That's it's funny. I was exactly thinking of that. Yeah, Neil Gaiman-esque. Yep.
Yeah.
The raindrops was good too.
Oh yeah, I would say that. That was one of my favorite.
Him with the being covered in rain.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Also, when he gets a little bit of dust on himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he's like.
Actually, I liked when he's just ahead and it makes the goon crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That finally, you're always like driving, and it's like they look over at you, and the car's going this way, and you're gonna crash. And my dad hates that. He's always flipping out like when they look away for more than a second. And
it's a production car.
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
It's in a studio. Green screen.
Don't worry about it, Dad.
Yeah.
But I like the makeup and the bubble gum.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the very beginning.
Like couple of minutes that they show that off.
I think that was their way of saying, like, this isn't just going to be a Chevy Chase voiceover movie. Like, there's actually going to be invisibility.
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny.
This isn't going to be.
And then he pukes when he sees his own stomach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. It's funny that you mentioned that, like, where they're flexing and showing off his like the invisibility special effects at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. Chevy Chase's character, like, first thing he does is like, look, pencils, no strings, and that's how it was done within the old films. Whether you were a ghost or an invisible man, like, it was strings, and I was like, no strings. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So they were calling out the old special effects too, saying, look at what we could, like, the movie itself was flexing.
I was going to ask, I know sometimes narrations don't work. Did you think that it worked here with Chevy?
It was good. I thought it worked here because I'm sure they took that from the novel since it was a memoir. And plus, I didn't feel like he was ad-libbing a lot in which is something you would be worried about with a comedian like him.
Yeah,
you're doing
I guess you got a face internal monologue.
Also, I like that it wasn't 100% narration. I mean, obviously, you would see him before the accident, but I'm glad that after he became invisible, you could still, like, the audience could still see him where he was in the room and at certain points, like, just to know that he's still there and he's not literally just phoning it in.
Right. Yeah, I thought it had a good balance between us seeing him and not.
Yeah, and to push the whole, like, how it would feel to be in that situation.
Yeah, thinking about like when he's in the summer house with all of them sitting around talking about him, it felt like a Christmas Carol where
that's
how they actually feel about him.
That's what it was.
And so that's what might happen when you're invisible. You go visit your friends to see how they're doing, and they're all talking shit about you.
The good thing is that scene isn't built around him, so it's not like them complaining about him the whole time. It's like he's a topic of conversation, then they move on.
Yeah, it felt natural.
Yeah.
It was beach house talk.
I'll end up on the show. That guy's
like crabs. God, who was that guy?
I don't know, but he looked like the guy from Die Hard.
Fun fact: no, he has never been in anything else except for A Walk in the Clouds with Keanu Reeves.
Because he seems like,
you know who he is. He's the son of Sir George Martin, the producer of the Beatles.
Oh,
nepotism, huh?
Because I was going to say, he seems like the guy that they cloned Armie Hammer from.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's in this. Doesn't say anything about it. The captain.
He's good in the movie.
There's no reason why he needs to be British. Maybe he was a friend of someone's, and they're like, "We need some."
I think that was to make him more stuffy.
Like, he does sound British, but like he also sounds like old-timey rich person.
Like
That's
It's
probably
supposed
why-
to sound like a
Yeah,
dick.
kind of.
yeah,
Because like he does that like that high and noble
Yeah,
how
it's-
like those
it's-
like elite British people speak.
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Or-
in the 30s. There was this like dialect from New England and the East
Yeah.
Coast that's Captain Hook's
Yeah, no,
dialect.
he sounds like one of those rich people that are mimicking the British accent
Yeah.
because they want to sound like they want their wealth to match, or they want their accent to match their
Is-
wealth.
He didn't show up earlier in the movie, right? He was just like there.
No, he just showed up at the beach house.
Yeah, because
They implied they were
I think-
coworkers, but he's not.
Yeah.
They implied that they were all friends at one point and that he knew Nick.
I think he was just supposed to be as stuffy an antithesis to Nick as possible,
Yeah,
so that there was more of that contrast when he breaks down and cries to try to manipulate Daryl Hannah.
I do like that he thinks she's strong as an ox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how he can't tell the difference between a female voice and a male voice. I think she's schizophrenic. She's talking to herself in there. So what would we all give it?
You give
I said B plus.
B plus. Yeah, I liked this more than I had remembered, so I actually would give this probably an A, maybe even an A plus. I really like this. I'd
Nice.
watch this again. This reminds me of when we watched Toy Soldiers last year. Like, I was worried the nostalgia wouldn't kick in. I'm ready to watch Toy Soldiers again already.
Oh yeah, it's good.
That's how much I liked it. So I could see watching this again a handful of times.
So can I, because I accidentally had to buy it.
That was no accident, my friend.
No.
You're
Well, no,
meant to-
it's because I rented it, and I'm
Own
like,
it now.
but then I never watched it before the thing ended. I'm like, it was only $1 more to buy than to rent, so I own it now. If anyone wants to watch it,
Cool, yeah.
I agree with Corey. I think definitely B plus A minus range, because it was very well done for what it was. I was expecting a lot more slapstick, and I'm glad that there wasn't.
Right.
Right.
I also like that it wasn't, oh, happy ending, he's not invisible anymore. Like he
Right.
literally he has to live with this for the rest of his life because he has to stay on the lam.
I also thought there might be a reconciliation where Sam Neill is okay with him and lets him be free. I
There was
couldn't
no way
remember
that
how
was
it ended.
happening.
So I actually like how he dies.
Yeah.
It's actually
the only way
It was
out.
actually his own ambitions got the best of him.
right. It's very poignant. This film is
Very-
much better
very-
than I think these people that
Yeah.
made it think it is.
Kind of reminds me of the ending of Juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had 2 films in a row where people fall off roofs.
I was gonna say that happens a lot in the 90s.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's like a trope.
Yeah.
They do it in
Yeah.
Disney movies all the time.
What would you
All
give
right.
this?
I would give it a solid A. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, solid A.
A
Not an A
minus.
plus, not an A minus, but a solid A.
Yeah, this might be the highest I've ever rated any of our
Yeah.
films. I don't think I've ever given anything an A plus.
It's a solid film, unlike Jimmy's Molecular Structure.
Zipping in
'Cause
and
Jimmy's
out.
still like he's gonna be stuck like this for a while. He might need to.
downhill for Chevy.
We might need to look at him for.
Stay. You need to be bonded to me.
Please-
We might need to look for him in Switzerland later.
Mhm.
Anyway.
So other films came out this month. Actually a movie that Tris and I just watched this past week. Mississippi Masala.
Oh yes.
And it actually had a qualifying run last year, but we decided to push it till this year because it had a wider release this week.
I was trying to push it for what our hidden gem would be, though I'm happy with what we went with. I still like Mississippi Masala.
I do too, actually.
It was Sarita Chaudhry's debut film and also Mira Nair's directorial debut. She's famous for having done the Vanity Fair remake in 2004.
Namesake.
And, Monsoon Wedding. Namesake's one of my favorite films. I love that. I think it's what pushed Kal Penn to prominence, but it's not really regarded as well as I think I find it.
Right.
But it's good to see where she came from. And you can tell, obviously, the quality is a little early film because she probably had a low budget, but
Yeah.
she uses it to her advantage to make it seem like, the rough and tumble life of people that aren't native to this country. The plot is basically there was an influx similar to how there were Chinese workers in California building the railroad and across the country. In Uganda, there was an influx of Indians coming over to help build infrastructure there for the British. And so a couple generations later, Idi Amin comes in and banishes all Asian people. He just wants them out. Thinks they're the root of all evil. It's bordering on going to be genocide. So a lot of them escape, and this particular family we focus on moves to Mississippi of all places. And they live in a hotel that is primarily occupied by other Indians. And it's just kind of the day-to-day of what it's like to be refugees. And I'm sure this was close to the heart for Mira Nair. I'm not sure exactly her history, but the core of it boils down to she meets Denzel Washington in a small fender bender. They hit it off and they start a romance. So it's probably one of the first interracial romances between, say, an Indian person and a black person. I'm not sure what else came before this, but I think it was important to, have something like that.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's very rare to see interracial relationships before a certain time.
Mm-hmm. Especially
it's interesting because Sidney Poitier
not only in film though.
Yeah.
Typically the stereotype would have been like a black guy with a Hispanic chick,
right,
or the other way around,
right. Look at Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, because I think in this point in time for people's cultural sensibilities, they think Asians would probably either only marry other Asians, or if they're a woman, they marry a white guy.
Right. So it is
because
a pretty landmark film for that reason.
Because you don't see in any movies a black guy with an Asian chick, whether she's Indian or East Asian, Korean or Japanese.
I can't think of any.
But I grew up on an army base as a kid, and there's a shit ton of mixed race kids up the wazoo, and some of the kids at my church were either half white, half Korean, or half black and half Korean. I mean, hell, you don't see that often these days either.
Yeah.
How often do you even have a side character that's a black Asian?
Right.
Let alone a main character.
So I think this was a very important film, but it was also well done. I rewatched it with Rebecca. It's one of her favorite films. And she actually pointed out that she thought the romance was a little rushed. I actually liked how it developed.
Actually, I liked how patient it was, weirdly enough.
Yeah, it felt like it was a little bit Romeo and Juliet, like they were star-crossed and they couldn't help themselves. But we pointed out to each other that it's more they wanted to escape what they thought their trajectory was supposed to be. So they didn't want the traditional expectations to bog them down.
Yeah.
So I thought it was well done because of that. It didn't feel rushed or patient. It didn't need to be either. So I think I credit that to Chaudhry and Denzel Washington in one of his early roles. There, you can tell he's going to be a star. She hasn't had as big a career, but I've always liked her. So,
and Charles S. Dutton has a small as well.
He was fun. Yeah, I liked him a lot. And I should have kept the name down, but her father was in Gandhi, and he was nominated for an Oscar actually for Best Supporting Actor.
He's good. He pops up. He's a character. He pops up a lot.
Yeah. He was just in Dumbo. So
yeah, he's pretty ubiquitous. That guy.
He was in Brooklyn.
No, that was Saoirse Ronan. But yeah, the whole cast was pretty good. You also probably didn't see a lot of films in the mainstream that focus on British people other than Gandhi. So I think Mira Nair coming to the forefront was good for cinema in general. I'm glad.
It actually turned out to be.
Also,
if it hadn't have been Memoirs, I wouldn't have minded this being the
good
be the month.
Yeah.
And another thing to point out, since part of one of the leads is an Indian woman, an Indian woman from an African nation, so there's post-colonial, double post-colonial bullshit.
It's definitely something I didn't know about, even from Last King of Scotland.
Yeah.
If only Forrest Whitaker had a cameo.
I'm guessing before this point, not many Americans got much Indian characters that weren't taxi cab drivers.
Right. There is even a moment where he does thank you very much, and it sounds like the dumb Apu stereotype.
Yeah.
So
this there's probably
even some of the culture clash stuff is pretty funny in the movie when they're talking about how be careful, Americans like to sue. They're very
yeah. She thinks of herself as American. Her father thinks of himself as Ugandan. Her mother is just I live where I live with my family. It doesn't matter where we are. And there's the subplot, the father actually wants to return to Uganda. He's been suing Uganda for kicking him out, which is actually pretty interesting. And he has to come to the realization by the end about what it means to be a family. You're where your family is.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty poignant. And I think it's good for Americans or anyone in general to know some history, and it isn't shoving it down your throat. It's just part of the plot. So it was something I didn't know, which is always good to get in a film. if we're grading it, I'd give this also an A.
Yeah, I'd probably
I've
give
seen the
it
movie,
a,
and I'd give it an A.
Nice.
Right,
We should watch it
Just
again.
based on the premise,
it a B.
alone, like from what I heard.
a movie called Final Analysis came out this month, which is it's Richard
I
Gere,
can't. I'm
a
stuck. I'm back.
Hitchcockian mystery because he plays a therapist who's treating Uma Thurman's character, and her sister comes to visit him. They start a torrid affair. Her husband is Eric Roberts, who's this big mafioso, and then
Sorry.
the plot unravels from there. The movie's insanely stupid, and Kim Basinger is playing to the rafters in this because her character is supposed to have pathological intoxication, which is some disorder that they created either for the movie or I've never heard of it before.
Wait, pathological and so they're drunk.
Yeah, but she goes into
Or a
like
pothead.
fits of insanity when she's drunk. There's a part in a restaurant where she has this really overwrought outburst that is unintentionally hilarious. It's just another excuse for Richard Gere to get naked on film, I guess. But the movie's not good at all. Medicine Man came out this month. Weird departure for John McTiernan after all those action spectacles that he was doing.
Oh, this isn't action?
It kind of is. It's more of a drama
Hmm.
/ jungle adventure with he reunites with his star from Hunt for Red October, Sean Connery, and they're basically looking for a cure for this disease. It's him and Lorraine Bracco, who people might know from either The Sopranos or Goodfellas. And just goes to show that if Martin Scorsese isn't directing her, she's no good. The movie itself's kind of forgettable. I don't really remember much of it. I just remember it being a big staple on network TV. Sean Connery has a hilariously bad ponytail on it.
So he still has the hair he wanted in Hunt for
Sorry,
Red.
Dawes.
That's funny. He finally got his way.
Yeah. A movie that's kind of a cult classic now came out this month. Wayne's World.
Oh.
Probably the highest grossing SNL sketch adapted to the big screen outside of Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
No, that's it's funny thing you say that because those are my top two like favorite I guess SNL movies.
Yeah, and those are the ones that made the most. For me, all the spoonerisms and hipster dialogue has really dated itself. So I don't think it holds up well. I think actually the sequel's better. I could see why it has like a little cult devotion to it now. But have any of you guys seen it?
I have not.
This is the movie that launched Mike Myers' career.
Yeah.
So
And
like,
Dana Carvey.
I mean, to this day, anytime I think of mustard, it doesn't matter which brand of mustard, I will always think of the scene where they pull up to a limousine, roll down the windows, like,
Grey Poupon?
oh, excuse me, sir, do you have any Grey Poupon? And like, I remember the commercials that they were mocking.
That's from what? That's what that's
right.
from.
They're mocking a mustard that like a mustard company that had a commercial exactly like how they acted it out in that scene in the movie.
So my mom used to direct theater in our high school in town. When I was very young, she eventually moved on to a school she actually worked in. But I would come to rehearsals after I was in elementary school just because that's where she was. And they were all making that joke and I never got it. I thought they had made up the joke.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
probably making fun of Wayne's World.
Yeah, no, that because most kids in our generation like that because that commercial is from the 80s.
Yeah.
It'd be like if you saw like
that
a
commercial was actually dying out by
the
the time Wayne's World premiered.
I
and
remember
I think
the commercial.
Wayne's World killed that commercial.
That's so funny.
I think because I don't remember seeing it all that much past that point.
Well, these high school kids in our hometown would make these jokes. And then I finally saw the commercial. And I'm like, oh, okay, it must be from that.
The movie also
Often high schoolers quote mustard commercials.
I didn't know I was 6.
I mean, I would be the kid that did that though. So I was there.
This movie also put Queen's
Rhapsody commercials from the 90s
back to the charts. Up until then, Bohemian Rhapsody was kind of looked down upon, and now that and when it was featured in this movie, it skyrocketed back to the top of the chart.
That's another like when I hear Bohemian Rhapsody,
the production history was, I guess,
not Queen.
Yeah,
the producers didn't want it. Mike Myers fought hard to get it in there,
and it's really cool that he ended up being the producer in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, so that's a great little Easter egg for people who see Bohemian Rhapsody. Radio Flyer.
Have I seen this?
Have you seen it?
It wasn't the Cuba Gooding Jr. one, was it?
It's a movie about child abuse with Elijah Wood.
Oh, I was thinking of Radio. Sorry.
Yep.
No.
Oh, so not The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings?
What's the Woody Allen movie with Seth Green?
With Seth Green? Oh, Radio Days.
Oh, that's what I've seen.
Yeah. No, but does anybody remember those radio flyer wagons when they were a kid?
I had one.
You did? Okay. So they're carrying it around for most of the movie, but they do kind of a Charlie Brown thing in the movie because the alcoholic father you never see, he's always off screen. But it's actually directed by Richard Donner.
Wait, what?
Richard Donner of Lethal Weapon, Superman.
Wow.
This is like a dark family drama. It's him and the kid from just so you know, this kid from Jurassic Park.
Oh, Joseph Mazzello.
Yeah, Joseph Mazzello.
Also in Bohemian Rhapsody.
And Lorraine Bracco, John Hurd.
Yeah.
Hey, John Hurd.
It's not a movie I'd readily go to revisit just because of the dark subject matter. It's not a fun movie. But for what it is, Richard Donner acquits himself very well. He knows how to direct actors, so he's good at the drama. This Is My Life, which is a Nora Ephron movie that not a lot of people talk about. It's based on a book by this woman who was living in the Bronx and was trying to be a stand-up comedian. And it's actually one of the rare starring vehicles for Julie Kavner from The Simpsons.
Marge, right?
Yeah, Marge.
Yeah, she's in Awakenings.
She's in Awakenings. Yeah.
Yeah. You impressed?
Yeah. No, it's a good movie. Last movie before we get to Jeff's main feature, The Mambo Kings came out, which is a biopic about the Castillo brothers, which I had never seen, but I hear is very good.
All right, Jeff.
What are we doing? Oh,
There we go.
all right.
For those listeners at home, what we do with Poster Boy, the game is that we present a poster to Jeff and have him describe the poster and then try to figure out what it is. It's all blurred out, the name, the actors,
Because
their faces.
I'm absolutely terrible with understanding posters.
And he often comes up with better plots than the actual film. And
You probably will with
better
this
titles.
one.
Sometimes, as we're going to go along, I expect you might know the film because you may have actually seen the poster or can just tell who it is.
Yeah, but
So
sometimes you smudge it out and it looks creepy as fuck.
yeah, this is great.
Yeah, no. it's like-
Everybody looks like Clayface in this.
the old woman in here looks like she came out of a Tool music.
Yo, hey,
video.
whoa, ba.
This is Jeff's time.
This is
whoa.
whoa. Am I doing this or do you want to do it, Jimmy? Jesus.
No. You're doing this, but I'm interjecting.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Okay. So, first of all, we're looking at a movie poster.
Sure.
There's a blue background. They're clearly, even though they are not in a vehicle, they are going at a very high speed. Both of them are holding guns. One of them is a tall man in a corduroy jacket holding a snub nose, and the other is an older woman, like a grandma type, holding a much bigger gun, pointing it just past the camera. Now, I know this is too early to be grandma's boy,
He does have the hair.
but
Yeah.
even though I can't see his face, the guy just probably has some shit-eating smirk, honestly.
Can I guess who
All
the guy
this.
is?
It looks like Jeff Garland. Like that was my thought.
Jeff Garland.
My first
Yeah,
thought.
not
that heavy?
Garland.
Wait.
My first thought was Jeff Garland.
Who do you think it might be, Jimmy?
Joe Pesci.
No.
No, what?
No.
That's not
That
Joe
looks too
Pesci.
That-
tall to
that's
be
a
Joe
good-
Pesci.
That's a
Oh,
good
come on.
guess.
Yeah, I like both those guesses actually.
Hasselhoff. No, his hands are too big to be Hasselhoff. Let's
He's not eating a burger on the floor.
I like where this
It's-
is going now.
hair's too dark to be Richard Gere.
He doesn't like
Um,
Richard Gere.
I want to say the old woman's Estelle Getty.
Wait.
Hey,
Nah.
Is this Sylvester Stallone?
I knew not blurring out her hair might get it for you.
No, it was the glasses.
Yeah, I
Wow.
knew the glasses might get it too.
What, Sylvester Stallone? No,
Hey.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, Jimmy
Is it
got
still
I'm
on?
looking at him like Joe Pesci because of the hair, but I'm looking at the neck and like the little bit of
Do-
the
Ear.
Do
Oh,
I
no.
have to? Do
Oh,
I
there's a
have
little
to
bit
share
of
the
cheekbone
trophy
there.
with?
I can't believe I'm identifying Sylvester Stallone by a little bit of a
nice.
cheekbone.
That's good.
What the hell's wrong with me?
Do
I
do I
didn't
have
know I
to?
had this power.
I left that in to see if
Do I have to
anyone
share
would.
my sticker book with Jimmy today?
Also that
Yeah.
thick neck.
I almost blurred it out because I'm like, you're gonna know about the neck. Okay.
I
It's
know.
funny that you thought it was Jeff Garland.
I know that.
Completely the physical opposite of.
I know that neck anyway. Well, no, I mean, I figured it was early on. Jeff Garland wasn't, at a different
Yeah,
at a different physical point in his life.
I'm like,
Um,
his shoulders are 3/4 like side profile, so you can't quite like you can see how I might think Joe Pesci at first,
You're fine.
especially with that little
So-
tiny
You can't tell how tall he is.
Yeah, no.
All right.
So what do you think the plot of this?
Okay, I think the plot of this is she used to be a part of the mob and has to finish up some unfinished business. And so she hires her grandson to break her out of the box
God damn it.
and to go
That
on
was a
a
better plot.
Or
and
it's like Kindergarten Cop, except it's old people daycare.
right, nursing home cop.
Yeah,
God
nursing
damn.
home cop.
That's better too.
That sounds better too.
Either way, Estelle Getty is clearly the leader of this duo.
He's not wrong.
And Sylvester Stallone is along for the ride, even though he's trying, or he's some sort of government agent who was assigned to protect this asset.
Like guarding
He's been
past.
hiding in a nursing home.
Ones.
There's a nursing home involved somehow, and then a high speed chase because they're clearly
This is
like
high
the way
speed.
the lights are blurring. They're sticking out of the top of a limo
Is
driving
there
down
ever actually
95.
a high-speed chase?
Yeah, there is a high speed chase.
Okay.
All right.
I think you both have come up with good plots. The next thing I'll give you is I believe
West
I didn't
holsters.
read this, but this might give away the plot.
Key West holsters. Detective Joe Bumowski's mom is in town for a visit. She did the laundry, washed the windows, and scrubbed the floors. Now she's gonna clean up the streets.
See, you were closer on your second one. He isn't a government agent, but he is
Yeah.
a cop.
I mean, that's still a government
Yeah.
Right along.
employee, so government agent.
Right along.
Is it?
This is the precursor to Ride Along.
So,
Um,
what would you call this?
Running errands.
A better title.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the next thing is I give away their faces. So I'll take this creepy.
Grocery.
Yeah, he's not smiling.
The grocery
He
bandits.
looks concerned and confused, maybe
Yes.
wondering how he got into this movie.
Yeah. Both of you come up with one more title, and then I think we'll go ahead because you know the plot now.
Okay, hang on. There's gonna be some sort of elderly pun.
Old school? No.
The visit.
Grandma's got a gun.
Mom's in town.
There's
Hold
an
on.
exclamation in the title.
Oh,
Hold on.
yeah? So grandma's got a gun.
That's better too.
Grandma got run over by a Range Rover.
No, grandma got run over by a Stallone. No.
Okay, I'm gonna put an end to this. Here you go.
Rocky, stop or my mom will shoot.
Have you heard of this?
No.
I have.
Okay.
Actually.
You have? Okay.
I thought that it was just a fever dream, though. I didn't know it actually
This looks
existed.
like a Funny or Die property, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This looks like a parody. This is probably for me, and I'm a huge Stallone fan. This is the worst thing he's ever done. The level of jokes in this are a disgrace to sitcoms. There's a part where Stallone is having a fever dream because his mom keeps foiling all of his detective cases. There's a part where he's in a fever dream where he imagines himself in a diaper.
Oh God. Wow. Oh, that's gonna be a weird image in my head just hearing that alone.
Try watching it.
Go goo goo.
Oh, God.
There's a part where he's in the shower. She interrupts him. Ma, what are you doing here? Come on, Ma.
I feel like this is a prequel to Rambo.
But here's the funny part. The reason that he's in this movie is, I don't know if you know this, but him and Schwarzenegger have like a friendly competition between the two of them, especially in the 80s and 90s. So they were always trying to one-up each other. So obviously Schwarzenegger was doing a lot of comedies and they were very successful around this time, like Kindergarten Cop twins. So Stallone was like, I got to get a comedy vehicle. And he's like, his agent happened to go to him, you know, Stallone, Schwarzenegger's like orbiting around this one property. Maybe we could like get it away from him and then have you do it. And he's like, yeah, you know what? Because I would probably fit better for this because it's American Cop, you know, something like that. He's like, so yeah, I'll take it. I don't care what it is. Just give it to me. I'll take the script. So he took it. He gets a phone call from Schwarzenegger later. He goes, you know, I wasn't really seriously considering that script. I only did that to mess with you. I already signed on to do it. So it was a prank from Schwarzenegger in this movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why
nice
he's
laugh.
making that face.
Absolutely brilliant.
Like Schwarzenegger got me.
Yeah.
So that's the title of the movie. Arnold got me. I got Arnold.
I've been Schwartzed.
I just imagine Arnold laughing over the phone.
You can see an interview with him. There's an interview with him where he talks about it. I think with Jimmy Kimmel, he's like, I watched the movie and I go, what a piece of shit.
This makes me love Arnold even more.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
Arnie.
boy.
Now I kind of want to watch it. Just
Oh, it's so bad. I rewatched it. I rewatched a little bit of it just to re-jog my memory. Oh, it's excruciatingly almost unwatchable how bad it is.
I've always been curious, so this may be why I didn't think Stallone was a good actor for most of the 90s.
Which is weird because you see him in interviews and he can be funny.
Well, I wanted to switch it up a little bit for our picks of the month. Usually we've been focusing on actors. In the early days, we kind of did genres once in a while, especially one of our episodes came up around Christmas. So we did best Christmas movie, that sort of thing. So I was thinking, and Jeff came up with this actually. What's your favorite sci-fi comedy?
I want to say Inner Space with Martin Short.
Okay.
Back to the Future.
Naturally.
That's right. All right, I guess I'll pick a different one. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say fuck it, and I'm just gonna list off a bunch right off the top of my head because I can't pick.
Here's an unintentional
I
comment.
have to be able to fit it on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So like what, Ghostbusters,
Okay, I'll stick with that for you.
Men in Black.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't think of that, did you?
No, that might be mine.
Why don't you go with your favorite, which is Sphere, which is an unintentional comedy.
I mean, he's snarky little son of a bitch.
Sleeper.
Oh, you know, that's a good one.
Is that your pick, Jeff?
No.
Go on.
We hinted at it before. I'm going to go with Groundhog Day, but I kind of like Men in Black as well.
I mean,
You consider that sci-fi?
It's a time loop.
Yeah,
But
but
they never try to
quite
explain
established
it
the,
scientifically.
science part.
Yeah,
of it.
but
They
it's
never
still
try to explain
Sci-fi.
it.
You got to figure out the science behind it.
Fine, I'll go with Men in Black.
All
Yeah.
right, there you go.
You went with a good movie. I mean, the
Whoa,
Groundhog
whoa,
Day is
whoa,
a good movie.
whoa,
What am I
whoa,
saying?
whoa.
Short Circuit
Whoa.
2.
You went with
Hey,
an
that is
actual
a good
sci-fi
one.
comedy,
That is
you
a
know?
good one.
Another Michael McKean classic. That was where I was introduced to
Oh,
him.
Michael McKean. Oh, you know what? You're right. I was introduced to him in that.
Wait, what
I was
it?
also introduced to Brownface Fisher Stevens.
He does a,
Oh,
you know
sure.
what? As bad of a
Oh,
stereotype
yeah.
as that is, he
Oh,
does
that
a
is-
great job.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? I seen Short Circuit 2 before I saw Short Circuit. So
Me too. It's like
and
Terminator.
like the weird thing is like I didn't even call it Short Circuit. I didn't even know that was the title of the movie. I just called it Johnny Five.
Right.
25 was
So,
great.
so they were like, yeah, Short Circuit 1.
I
I'm
want to
like,
watch the Johnny
"It's
Five
just
movie.
Johnny Five. It's only just one movie.
I
Turns out
I
the one
didn't-
was the second one.
I didn't know that there was a first one because the
Mhm.
second one was definitely geared more toward kids.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Oh, guys, the actor in the Short Circuit movies,
Gutenberg.
he's also in another sci-fi comedy.
Which
that's
actor?
good.
There's several.
Oh no, you'll know when I say his name
Cocoon?
or the same name movie. Mario Brothers,
Super Mario Brothers?
Super Mario Brothers.
Dennis Hopper's not in Short Circuit.
No, like this scrappy, skinny guy. He's also in
Oh.
Hackers.
Oh,
too.
yes.
The long hair.
John Leguizamo. Well, so
Yeah.
Fisher Stevens is also in Hackers.
Yeah, that's what
Oh, yeah.
he means.
Yeah.
He means Fisher.
This is
Stevens.
just becoming a Hackers preview show.
Which Koopa? The Iggy or Lemmy or something?
He's the one that
He's-
doesn't get turned into
Iggy or
a
Lemmy.
Goomba.
Yeah.
Lenny or Ziggy?
Michael McKean.
Wait, you going with Super Mario Bros?
No.
Oh no, I was just pointing out the good
Just
good
pointing out the
sci-fi
Fisher
comedy.
Stevens.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's pretty good. We appreciate you listening. Can't wait for next month. We're gonna take it international. We've never really done a foreign film. We're gonna look at Zhang Yimou's Raise the Red Lantern, which was released here in March 92. It had come out like Mississippi Masala at the tail end of 91, but in China and elsewhere. We're gonna see how it is coming to the States.
Yeah.
And we're intrigued. I don't really know anything about this. It's a
I've
China
heard it's a great
about
film. I've never seen.
history. It's one of the biggest international films, at least around that time. So it's kind of a turn from this because we're gonna go from comedy to drama. But thank you again. Remember to rate, review, subscribe, comment if there's anything you want to hear about from 92. Any picks of the month you want to hear about. I don't know. We'll see you next time.